So I did the test again. Now for the second time I'm doing this test, I set the screen to be turned off within 15 seconds. However, this time it was worse. We should have had the similar results. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Hello everyone, my name is Victor Godric and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to talk about the DJI OSMO Action 5 Pro and the problem that I have with its reviews. Now I have no problem with the camera itself, but before I bought this camera I watched a lot of review videos. As expected, like before you buy something you should gather as much information as you can. So that is exactly what I did. But while I was watching reviews, I have watched tons of reviews, I noticed that none of them, like not a single one of the reviewers, mentioned anything about the overheating issue that this camera have. Now when I say that they did not mention anything, I'm not saying that this camera shuts down on the road due to overheating. That did not happen to me, and I don't think that will happen to you either. So you're good. If you bought this camera, you're good. And I'm also satisfied with the performance. But the point that I'm talking about is when this camera is stationary. I recall one specific video where the guy plopped a GoPro and a DJI OSMO Action 5 Pro side by side on a tabletop, and he claimed that there was no airflow on the table. Like he turned off the AC, according to him, and all other sources of air. So according to the guy, the camera had zero airflow when he did this test. And the results were the DJI OSMO Action 5 Pro kept on recording and stopped when the battery died. So it did not turn off due to overheating. But the GoPro stopped recording and turned off at the 40 minutes mark. Reasonable, right? We all know about this, about the GoPro, having overheating issues. There is nothing new. But the DJI not shutting off due to overheating, that was a great result. Now I was very intrigued by that. But when I did the same test, like I bought this camera, I plopped it on my tabletop, I turned off my air conditioning, there was no fan, I turned off my fan. So same conditions, same parameters, no airflow to the camera. So it should have given me the same results, right? But no, that did not happen. My results were, at the 40 minutes mark, the camera gave me a warning. So a message popped up on the screen and it said that your camera is overheating and your screen will be turned off in 15 seconds or something like that. So the first time I did this test, I had the settings for the screen to be always on. So that's on me, right? For the first time, the first test that I'm talking about. So while the screen being set at always on, the camera was able to get the warning at 40 minutes mark and it stopped recording and shut down at 67 minutes mark. So 1 hour and 7 minutes. It ran for 1 hour and 7 minutes at 4K 60 resolution. That is what the reviewer used and that is what I used. So at 4K 60, after an hour and 7 minutes, while the screen set to always on, the camera turned off. So I was disappointed. I did some Google search, I did some Reddit posts, and all sorts of help that I could find on the internet available to me, and people said that it could be your memory card. That does not apply to me because my read and write speed are well within the range for this camera to work perfectly. So that's really not the issue. Then some people said that it's probably because you kept the screen at always on. Okay, that was a fair argument. So I did the test again. Now for the second time I'm doing this test, I set the screen to be turned off within 15 seconds. That's what I do right now when I record. So reminder, the screen is not set to always on for the second time I'm doing this test. Now you should expect to get a better result, right? Because the screen is not set to always on. My memory card is not the issue, at least I don't think it is. However, this time it was worse. I got the warning at 39 minutes. Well, I guess it's not worse, it's the same if we consider plus minus, let's say 2 or 3 minutes. So the warning was the same. I got the warning at 39 minutes, so let's say 40 minutes. But the camera turned off at 63 minutes this time. So 1 hour and 3 minutes. So 4 minutes less than what I had when I had the screen set on always on. Right? So what happened here? Some people might think that I did the tests back to back so that the camera was warm before I even started the second test, but that was not the case. I waited, like I did the first test in the morning and the second test was conducted at night, so there was at least a 12-hour gap between the two tests. So it was a little funny to me because I was expecting it to at least cross an hour and 30 minutes. But nope. This camera had other plans. So there was that. If you are looking to buy this camera, because the OSMO Action 6 just launched and you might be thinking that the price of this one will go down and you are waiting for that to happen so that you can buy this one, do not get discouraged. Yes, the reviewer that I watched did exaggerate the capabilities of this camera handling overheating issues by a lot. However, this camera is still one of the best in the market, if not the best in the market. I'm not really sure about Insta360. I don't know about the overheating situation that camera has. So I'm not going to compare or tell you something that I don't really understand myself. So let's take off Insta360 from the picture, okay? Let's talk about GoPro and DJI. So if we compare these two, then the overheating issue that you have with the DJI OSMO Action 5 Pro is not that much actually, because compared to GoPro, it's nothing. Because GoPro will overheat at 40 minutes when stationary. Again, I'm not talking about when you're riding with this thing or when you're out filming with this thing or you're enjoying the swimming pool with this thing. I'm not talking about that. Okay, so I got distracted by something on the road. I thought it was a pothole, but it wasn't. Good for us, because if it was a pothole, well, not really, because I had everything under control. Even if it was a pothole, we had nothing to worry about. But let's get back to the topic. So when you compare this thing, the DJI OSMO Action 5 Pro, with other action cameras that are available on the market, this camera still rocks. This camera still wins. So if you are afraid of the overheating problem, then you should get this one, because it will give you a better service compared to the other cameras available to you at this moment. The exaggeration of the reviewer was unnecessary. I don't know why he did that, because I don't believe him for a second that he turned off the AC. We should have had the similar results. Or there is another possibility. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. The other possibility is that maybe, just maybe, we got different results because of the environmental factors. Maybe he's in a place on the world where the room temperature is, let's say, 24 degrees Celsius. But for my case, my room temperature was probably like 27 to 30 degrees Celsius. So let's take that into consideration. Maybe the environmental factor was the deciding factor of the differences in the test results. Now, what is the conclusion? So to wrap up this video, I'm just going to say one thing, that this is a great camera. This camera tackles the overheating issue like a boss, because that extra 20 minutes is huge if you think about it. Like, you are getting at least an hour of footage of 4K 60, right? So that is more than enough for whatever you are doing, if stationary. And if you are riding or driving in a car, your car obviously, have an air conditioning system, so you don't really need to worry about overheating in the car, right? And when we are riding, we have the airflow, and this airflow will take care of the overheating. So whatever you're doing, when you're moving, when you're not stationary, there is no overheating issue, because everything is under control. Not necessarily under control, but you know what I mean, that you have airflow, you have some control over the environment, so your camera doesn't overheat. Okay, so let me clarify some things so that you don't, get the wrong idea. This camera is great at handling the overheating problem that the other action cameras have. And by other, I mean GoPro, because I forgot what the Insta360 is capable of. So keep that in mind. It's just not going to do some black magic under the hood and never overheat like people will try to feed you. So yeah, that's it. It's a great camera. It will last longer than other cameras, even when stationary, recording 4K 60 FPS, but it is not immune to overheating. It will overheat at some point, and it will stop recording and shut down on its own due to the overheating problem. It's just a little special, that's all. So yeah, if you're looking into buying this thing, you can definitely do that. You will not be disappointed. I was disappointed not because it was not performing well enough, but because I had unrealistic expectations. Okay, so I am going to end this video here because I think I covered what I wanted to cover. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye and take care.